The 2017 D and 2020 D Roosevelt dimes may look ordinary, but they carry powerful stories within their small frames. Each connects back to President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his March of Dimes charity, symbolizing America's fight against polio. The 2017 D stands out as part of a year that briefly broke minting traditions, while the 2020 D reflects the chaos of the pandemic, produced in huge numbers to ease a national coin shortage. Together, they serve as tiny time capsules of American history, each potentially hiding rare minting errors that turn everyday change into collector's treasure. The Roosevelt dime, which includes the 2017 D coin struck at the Denver Mint, is a profound piece of American currency, serving as a tangible connection to one of the nation's most transformative figures, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The selection of the dime as the medium for this tribute, immediately following Roosevelt's death in 1945, was highly symbolic, reflecting his personal battle with polio, which he contracted in 1921, and his subsequent establishment of the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis in 1938. This organization, which famously encouraged Americans to donate a dime to support the fight against the disease, soon became popularly known as the March of Dimes, cementing the dime's association with Roosevelt's philanthropic and medical advocacy efforts. The new design, replacing the winged Liberty Head or Mercury dime, was rushed into production, with its initial release coinciding with what would have been Roosevelt's 64th birthday on January 30, 1946, a powerful emotional gesture by the U.S. Mint to honor a president who had led the country through the Great Depression and most of World War II. The enduring nature of the Roosevelt dime, which has remained in continuous production since that inaugural year, speaks to the lasting impact of his presidency and the success of the March of Dimes campaign, whose legacy is subtly carried in the pocket of every American with one of these coins. The 2017 D issue, therefore, is a direct descendant of this poignant post-war commemorative effort, carrying forward the design principles established over 7 decades prior. The design of the Roosevelt dime, a constant across all years including the 2017 D issue, was created by Chief Engraver John R. Sinek, whose work on the coin sparked an unexpected controversy immediately upon its release in 1946. The obverse prominently features a left-facing profile of President Roosevelt, framed by the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the year of minting. Sinek's initials, JS, subtly placed beneath Roosevelt's neck, became the subject of intense, unfounded speculation during the height of anti-communist sentiment following the Second World War. Rumors circulated that the initials secretly referred to Joseph Stalin, implying a hidden communist sympathizer within the U.S. Mint, a theory which the Mint had to officially and repeatedly debunk by clarifying that JS stood for the coin's actual designer, John Sinek. This minor, yet persistent, controversy highlights the volatile political atmosphere of the mid-20th century into which the coin was born, a historical context far removed from the modern 2017 D production, but essential to understanding the design's early history. The reverse design, equally symbolic, features a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch denoting strength and independence, with the national motto E pluribus unum dividing the fields above the denomination one dime and the country's name, creating a cohesive visual narrative of American ideals. A pivotal moment in the history of the Roosevelt dime, which affects every modern business strike issue like the 2017 D, occurred in 1965 with the passage of the Coinage Act. For its first 2 decades, from 1946 through 1964, the dime was composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, a precious metal content that gave it intrinsic value beyond its 10-cent face value. But as the price of silver rose dramatically in the early 1960s, the bullion value of these coins began to exceed their monetary value, leading to widespread hoarding and a critical shortage of circulating coinage. To resolve this crisis, the United States Mint made the monumental decision to eliminate silver from the dime, quarter, and half dollar, replacing it with a clad composition that continues to be used today. The 2017 D dime is thus struck in this modern composition, consisting of an inner core of pure copper sandwiched between outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper, 25% nickel, resulting in a visually silver-colored coin that maintains the same diameter and electrical properties as its silver predecessor, ensuring its compatibility with vending machines and other coin-operated devices of the era. This shift marks the primary metallurgical break in the Roosevelt dime's history, transitioning it from a precious metal coin to the robust, purely utilitarian currency that is recognized in contemporary commerce. The Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark, plays a crucial role in the production story of the 2017 D Roosevelt dime and the broader United States coinage system. Established in 1906, the Denver facility is one of the most prolific mints in the nation, consistently striking billions of coins annually to meet the enormous demands of American commerce. The Mint mark, which appears on the obverse of modern Roosevelt dimes, above the date and near the base of Roosevelt's profile, identifies the coin's origin, a tradition that was itself shifted for the Roosevelt dime series. Originally, from 1946 to 1964, the Mint mark was placed on the reverse, near the torch base, but in a change implemented for the clad coinage, the mark was relocated to the obverse where it is now consistently found on the 2017 issue and all subsequent circulating dimes. While the mintage figures for the 2017 D dime are substantial, contributing to its status as a common coin in circulation, the volume of production highlights the critical infrastructure of the Denver Mint in maintaining the flow of currency across the vast American economy. The sheer number of 2017 D coins struck, representing a small fraction of the billions of dimes produced throughout the series, underscores the continuous, massive scale of coinage manufacture required for a modern, industrialized nation. The 2017 production year is notable within the long run of the Roosevelt dime series for a minor but significant numismatic event involving the Philadelphia Mint, which, for the first time in history, added its P Mint mark to the dime. Typically, the Philadelphia Mint, as the primary and oldest mint, did not place a mint mark on circulating dimes, relying on the absence of a D or S to indicate its origin. However, in 2017 only, the P mark was added to all circulating dimes struck in Philadelphia, distinguishing that year's production across all three active mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. S mark is reserved for proof coins in this era. This unique circumstance for the Philadelphia issues of 2017, although not directly affecting the Denver D coins, adds a small, fascinating footnote to the history of the entire 2017 coinage year and provides a point of comparison for collectors. The standard 2017 D dime, with its familiar D mark, continued its role as a workhorse coin, but the P edition served as a brief, one-year variation in the mint mark tradition, making the entire 2017 set an interesting collection point for those tracking the subtle changes in U.S. mint practices and protocols across different facilities. Despite its status as a common circulating coin, the 2017 D Roosevelt dime can sometimes exhibit minor production anomalies or errors that elevate its interest to numismatists. While the majority of the coins are struck perfectly, the high-speed, mass-production process at the Denver Mint inevitably results in a small percentage of coins with slight imperfections. These error coins can include minor die cracks, subtle doubling of the design elements, a double die, or the occasional occurrence of an improperly annealed planchet, which results in discoloration due to a flaw in the heating process before striking. Although most business-strike Roosevelt dimes, like the 2017 D, hold a value primarily equal to their 10-cent face value, especially in circulated condition, examples exhibiting clear, recognizable errors can command a premium in the collector market. This focus on errors highlights an important subset of numismatics, where collectors meticulously search through rolls of modern coinage, including the 2017 D dimes, to find the rare outliers that deviated from the strict standards of the U.S. Mint, transforming a routine piece of currency into a unique collectible item that tells a story of an accidental moment on the minting press. The portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse of the 2017 D dime is a compelling study in enduring iconography, capturing the likeness of a leader who defined a generation and fundamentally reshaped the American government. Chief engraver John R. Sinek is believed to have based the portrait on existing photographs and possibly a plaster model created by artist Selma H. Burke, although the exact source of his artistic inspiration remains a subject of historical discussion. The coin's obverse presents a clean, dignified, and determined profile of Roosevelt, intentionally conveying a sense of strength and resolution rather than portraying the debilitating effects of his polio. This image has persisted for over 70 years, becoming one of the most recognizable portraits in American currency, instantly familiar to nearly every citizen, regardless of age. The artistic longevity of the design on the 2017 D-Dime is a testament to Synec's skill in creating a powerful and acceptable public image, one that has withstood the test of time and countless millions of strikes across multiple decades and mint facilities. A powerful example of how public art, even on a small coin, can continually reinforce historical memory and national sentiment about a revered leader. The 2020 D Roosevelt dime, a high-volume circulating coin struck at the Denver Mint, is a small but significant piece of currency whose history is inextricably tied to both the mid-20th century political landscape and the major economic and social events of its own minting year. The design itself is a direct and unchanged continuation of the coin introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a figure whose connection to the dime runs deeper than mere presidential commemoration, stemming from his role as the founder of the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, famously known as the March of Dimes. This charitable organization encouraged millions of Americans to donate a single dime to fund polio research and treatment, making the coin a truly fitting and symbolic medium for his portrait, which has now endured on American currency for nearly 8 decades. The 2020 D coin carries this legacy forward, presenting the familiar left-facing profile of Roosevelt, complete with the designer John R. Synec's subtle JS initials, and upholding the powerful iconography established immediately after Roosevelt's death in 1945. It is a workhorse coin that serves as a quiet daily reminder of a president who led the nation through 2 of its greatest crises: the Great Depression and World War II. A crucial element in the historical profile of the 2020 D dime is its composition, which is a copper-nickel-clad sandwich that has been the standard for the series since the Pivotal Coinage Act of 1965. Prior to this landmark legislation, all Roosevelt dimes, from 1946 to 1964, were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, a composition that eventually became unsustainable as the market price of silver bullion rose to challenge the coin's face value. The clad replacement, which consists of a pure copper core bonded between outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, was a practical response to the mid-1960s coin shortage and remains the metallurgic blueprint for all modern circulating dimes, including the entire 2020 production from the Denver Mint. This change was not merely an economic necessity but represented a fundamental shift in American coinage philosophy, transitioning small denominations from intrinsically valuable objects to purely token money. The 2020 D coin, therefore, is rooted in the history of that 1965 transition, demonstrating a successful long-term commitment to a robust, cost-effective coinage metal that has proven capable of withstanding decades of continuous, high-volume circulation in American commerce. The designation D, which appears on the obverse of the 2020 dime near the date, signifies its origin from the Denver Mint, one of the primary coin-producing facilities for the United States. The Denver Mint has a rich history dating back to its establishment in 1906, having evolved from an earlier assay office that served the booming gold and silver mining industry of the Rocky Mountains. The facility is a behemoth of modern coin production, consistently ranking among the largest coin producers in the world, responsible for striking billions of circulating coins annually to feed the vast appetite of the American economy. The year 2020 itself was an unprecedented period for the Denver Mint, as the entire United States mint system dramatically ramped up production to address a critical coin shortage exacerbated by the initial social and economic disruptions of the global pandemic. The Denver Mint, alongside Philadelphia, rose to the challenge, collectively producing a massive volume of all denominations, including dimes, with the 2020 D dime contributing significantly to the over 7.69 billion coins struck at the Denver facility that year alone, underscoring its pivotal role as a workhorse of American currency manufacture. The mintage figures for the 2020 D Roosevelt dime, while not the lowest in the series, are substantial, reflecting the intense and unusual demand for coinage during that year, making it a piece of currency deeply connected to a unique period in modern American life. Preliminary figures indicate that the Denver Mint produced approximately 1.48 billion Roosevelt dimes in 2020, a colossal number that testifies to the frantic pace of production aimed at ensuring the liquidity of the national money supply amid economic uncertainty. This high-volume production generally means that a standard 2020D dime in circulated condition carries little premium value beyond its 10-cent face value, but its high mintage is a historical marker of the year's extraordinary economic circumstances, serving as a material record of the supply chain and consumer behavior challenges of that time. For collectors, while not a rarity in its general form, its status as a coin of the pandemic era gives it a unique place in a time capsule of modern American numismatics, and it remains the primary focus for numismatists searching for the subtle errors that inevitably arise from such high-speed, mass-scale production. Despite the common nature of the 2020D dime, which was designed purely for circulation, the intensity of its production and the constant use of its coining dies often result in a small number of intriguing and collectible error varieties. These accidental deviations from the mint's strict quality standards can include minor instances of a double die obverse or reverse, DDO/DDR, where a subtle second image is visible on the inscriptions or design elements due to a slight misalignment of the die striking process. Other collectible errors may involve a broad strike, where the coin is struck without the collar in place, causing it to spread out and enlarge, or small cuds, and die cracks that appear as pieces of the die break off during use. The existence of these errors transforms a common dime into a highly prized numismatic find, with exceptional, high-grade examples often selling for a considerable premium over their face value, purely based on the uniqueness of the minting defect. The search for a pristine 2020D full bands designation, which denotes a perfectly struck coin with full separation on the horizontal bands of the torch on the reverse, is another key area of collector interest, proving that even a modern coin's strike quality can dramatically influence its numismatic desirability. The reverse design of the 2020D dime, identical to all Roosevelt dimes since 1946, is a powerful visual allegory of American values, centered around a lit torch that is flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch. The torch, placed prominently in the center, is a universally understood symbol of liberty and enlightenment, reflecting the core democratic principles that Roosevelt championed. To the left of the torch is the olive branch, an ancient symbol of peace, while to the right is the oak branch, representing strength, independence, and stability. Together, these three elements form a cohesive message of America's post-war aspirations, intertwining freedom, peace, and national strength into a single, compact visual narrative. This carefully constructed symbolism, designed by John R. Sinek, also frames the national motto E pluribus unum, out of many, one, which is cleverly partitioned by the torch and branches, a constant and deliberate articulation of the nation's identity that is physically present on every 2020D dime entering circulation. The enduring quality of this design is a testament to its effectiveness in communicating profound national ideals through the miniature canvas of a 10-cent coin. The introduction of the Roosevelt dime in 1946 marked the permanent replacement of the beloved winged Liberty head, or Mercury dime, ending one era of U.S. coinage and ushering in a new one defined by presidential portraits. Prior to the Roosevelt design, the American dime's obverse had historically featured various personifications of liberty since the coin's authorization by the Coinage Act of 1792, but the decision to honor a recently deceased president on a circulating coin was part of a broader mid-century movement to recognize towering figures of national significance. Roosevelt followed Abraham Lincoln, Cent, and George Washington, Quarter, in receiving a coin portrait, and his placement on the dime was a direct tribute that circumvented the usual 25-year waiting period for a portrait of a deceased person to appear on currency, demonstrating the extraordinary respect he commanded at the time of his passing. The 2020D dime is a continuation of this deliberate break from tradition, maintaining the presidential portrait theme that became a hallmark of the 20th and 21st centuries, and solidifying the Roosevelt dime's place as a cornerstone in the iconography of modern American circulating coinage. Ultimately, the 2020D Roosevelt dime is a fascinating study in the intersection of national history, modern economics, and numismatic continuity, a simple coin with a complex backstory that far exceeds its 10-cent face value. Struck in the clad composition that speaks to the economic shifts of 1965, the coin was produced in massive quantities at the historic Denver Mint in a year defined by unique global challenges, leaving it as a tangible piece of the 2020 narrative. It serves as a continuous tribute to President Franklin D.